UW law students are taking administrators to school, saying the university is wrong in stating the First Amendment protects the student who posted a racist video to social media, and hence that student can't be expelled. NBC 15's Elizabeth Wattis joins us now with a message from the Wisconsin Law School Student Bar Association.
Yeah, Maria, on multiple occasions now, university leaders have said by law they cannot expel the creator of that video. One of the demands during student-led protests we saw. But law students cite a recent court case that ruled otherwise.
White supremacy has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! White supremacy has got to go!
Wisconsin SBA took to social media today condemning the racist hate speech that students have protested against. They cite a court case from 2021 that says a school has a regulatory interest in off-campus speech that is disruptive. Students' voices who have been protesting have been heard not only on campus but throughout the entire state. An anti-hate leader says regardless of the law, the administration needs to make a change in how they teach their students.
I asked the university administration to start thinking about requiring some kind of civic education program. To me, engagement is the best solution to all of this problem.
Masood Akhtar there with We Are Many United Against Hate also says there should be a call in instead of a call out. He says it's not always about punishing a person. He says the solution is creating an environment where everyone can work together to combat fear, anger, and hate. In the studio, Elizabeth Wattis, NBC 15 News.